Alright, welcome back to Make It Mental, everybody. I've had to move into my storage shed out back because my garage is so fucking cold due to climate change. I know, they say it's man-made, but some man somewhere needs to turn the shit off. So here's just a look at what I got going on so far. My skeletonized tower speakers. I've reclaimed some of the wood, as you can clearly see there by the color contrast. I went with the dual 6.5s because after pulling one out, I quickly realized that they were 8 ohms. So I'm going to wire both of them in parallel to produce a 4 ohm load for the amplifier, which is going to make the tighter notes or the higher end notes sound much more vibrant, more loud, and we'll go from there. And this is going to be a totally sealed enclosure. It approximately gets cut off right there. Well, it doesn't get cut off, but it gets sealed off right in that area. Then a dual voice coil 8-inch driver sits somewhere in there or on the other side. I don't remember which on this particular cabinet. But that's a look so far. So I've literally trimmed 1.5 inches off here and 1.5 inches off here. So when I go to mount the driver, this screw hole and this screw hole is literally going to be into the side of the cabinet. That's how tight this is now. There's about 4 inches of total depth from the face to the very bottom where I'm tapping my finger. So there's less than that internally. And I just use glue blocks inside, as you can see. Again, reclaimed wood on the inside. I just use glue blocks, and I got those installed. I'll show you a better example over here. So here's an example of the glue block, and it's cut about 3/8 of an inch lower than the top, because when I make my top for this side, it's going to have a 3/8 inch rabbet on 1, 2, 3, and then there's going to be a dado right here, 3/8 by 3/4 inch dado, eventually across the top here when I install the back. Then this, in theory, will sit flush with the bottom of the top. If that makes any sense at all, probably not. It's always easier to see it in person. So what you're looking at right here, what I did to get this far, this one's not quite finished. You might be wondering what these blocks here are for. I did a drop cut on the table saw, ran it through at 4 inches all the way down to the bottom to where about the 8-inch cabinet would be, somewhere down in there. I did a 1-inch cut down here, all the way down to about where that would be. Then I put a 1-inch spacer, this is a 1 inch approximately, and it's screwed flush to the top here. So I'm going to take my saber saw and I'm going to cut roughly some of it out, and then later I'll go back through with my flush trim on my router, and then I'll flush trim it out, giving you that look over there. Give it a nicer, cleaner look. End grain becomes very, very weak. So be careful if you decide to do something similar. I did this a little bit harder than what should have been done, but the reason why I did it the hard way is because if somebody wants to look, they'll see that this grain, this was all one piece of wood. If somebody ever wants to take the time to look at it, it's all one piece of wood. It is not just a stick glued to this stick. It's not a stick glued to this stick. It's one solid piece of wood that I simply cut a big chunk out of the middle. So that's how I got this far. So everything is a 3/8 by 3/8 dado or rabbet, to make life easier. Again, going to have a dual voice coil 8-inch driver down there. This is to reproduce the noises that I'm missing in my sound system at home. I'm missing more of the gunshots, the vocals, things of that nature, versus like an earthquake where you hear that really low, rumbly sound, that kind of earthquake sound that really gets into your chest. I'm missing that sound. So the dual 10s will take care of the rumbling, and then I'm hoping this right here will bring out more of the mids and the tight end bass that I'm looking for. And plus I'm going to install a 3-inch driver in place of where there was a 5/8 inch tweeter. And I think that'll cover me. I don't know the specs on any of these drivers, so don't ask me. I don't know. I'm just going by what I sense is the correct path of achieving this. If you guys are looking into getting into woodworking of any type or sort and you want to get a table saw, this one here that you're looking at is a skill saw. This one here, when I bought it, was approximately $99 plus tax. It is an absolutely horrible piece of shit table saw. But if you want a cut better than you can get on a jigsaw, or otherwise known as a saber saw, get that joker if funds are limited. I got a nicer table saw in my garage. This one I used most recently to cut tile with. It's got a diamond blade on there. Maybe hard to see that, but I used it to cut tile. Made a big fucking mess, but it still works. But it's more or less just a workbench as you see it here. So the next video, unless you guys got some questions, let me know, man. Don't be afraid to ask anything, any kind of questions, whatever may come up. I think I'm going to de-stress this cabinet. For those of you who don't know what de-stressing is, means that you go to a furniture store, say Ashley, and you go pick out a coffee table. It's got all these little nice, neat little dings and scratches in it and stuff. Well, you know what a guy does? He takes a screwdriver and he scratches it, he beats it with a chain, and he hits it with a hammer in a few different random areas. Then they sand it and stain it and throw a very light clear coat over it. More or less, the clear coat is to protect the finish. And then you pay good money for de-stressing. So I think I'm going to go for that route. I like that route. Even though it's technically will be new, I like the aged look. That way you're not afraid to touch it, get up close to it. You know, I think things that you make in your house or you have in your house should be touched, should be felt. Except I don't like my daughter. My daughter's got a bad habit of wanting to push the domes in on all the speakers. I hate that. Been trying to kick her of that habit, and it's a hard one to kick. Well, hope you all have a good weekend, and stay safe, stay dry, and stay warm.